Hello, this is Matt, and welcome to the final part of the journey where we'll be bringing the sculpting phase to a completion. If you haven't already joined me for parts 1 and 2, please feel free to follow the link in the description below. I've now got a lot of the weight sorted on the base section, and the reason for that is then I can get a good idea of what the overall conformation of the piece, or the finished piece, is going to be, and then work towards that. Another reason for doing it is I have to engineer it. I have to make sure that we can make it, manufacture it, and it's going to be strong and it's going to hold itself up. So that gives me a good sort of, gives me a good foundation to work from, now that everything's starting to make sense everywhere else. We're still a long way off, so this is where the relentless tweaking and sharpening comes in. I mean, I'll probably be taking 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, constantly from here. So yeah, better get on with it. This area here, and there's going to be a hollow as well. The only thing is, because it is so warm, if I cut that in now, everything else is just going to shrink. So well, it's the same with a lot of the piece really. I'm marking out where the hollows are going to be, and yes, you can see some of them. I mean, there's a little bit of armature poking there, but I'm not too worried about that, and equally there. that sound every time I squat down is actually my knee going crack. just in case you were wondering. Yeah, it's a bit alarming. It's almost like a mining operation there. So you got it from two sides really. So you're trying to sculpt the outside, but also make sure that you've got the tunnel, if you like, or the inside section is going to be also strong enough to uphold the hollow shape, at the same time allow us to cast it. So I have to bear this in mind all the time. So in other words, I'm looking at it constantly. Now this won't be the finished thickness at all. This is just going to give me a guideline. I've got a lot. I will have a lot to work to do in the master stage when ultimately I've finished it, which is no, not yet. But I like to at least give myself a decent idea of where I'm going to go. And I will put some of the tunnelling armature back in, and the reason for that is because it's clay. Clay shrinks, certainly in this temperature it does. So even though I try and sculpt with wet clay for the majority of the time, and I certainly don't ever really like it to harden out fully, I still put these in just to make sure that if I'm caught unawares, which I have been from time to time in terms of the temperature hitting the clay when I've been concentrating, I don't want it to pull in. So if I put some metal framework back in, it'll just resist it a little bit. Might of course be a little bit of a psychological exercise, but I feel better for it. Well, the piece is starting to come together a little bit more now. I've managed to sort the symmetry out with the piece, so even though it's not finished and sharpened up, I've got the basis here for at least to go for that finish. It's still very rough, you can see in lots of areas, but that's where I will gradually work it and flatten it out with the, by texturing it. The eyes certainly need to go in, the pupils, and that will bring the piece even more alive, and then I can start honing in on other bits that I might have missed. But then after that, it really is just the constant sharpening and finishing and sharpening and finishing. I'll probably do a bit of that off camera, if I'm honest, because it's slow and methodical and probably not that interesting to watch. but yeah, so from now I'm going to hit the eyes. I need to take weight out of inside of the ears so that can demonstrate the light going through, which is the whole point of edge. Just taking this out for a minute, which would help. I'll leave that in there so it doesn't dry out. But it's starting to get there from the inside perspective. I still have a lot of work to do when it gets to the master stage, which I won't be showing in this particular film. But yeah, so better get on with it. Right, I'm now at the position where I want to start texturing the piece, and I really look forward to doing this aspect. This is the fun bit. This means that I've got it to a point where I now want to see what it looks like when I take a lot of the scuff and sculpt lines off it, and you can see they're everywhere, and that makes it look quite rough, which is great if that's the look and finish you want. But because we paint the pieces and we produce them in a certain way, I need to eliminate that a little bit. So I'm going to texture the piece all over. That'll soften it up. And then, yes, I'll have to go back in and sharpen it and do the process again to a certain degree. But yeah, hopefully from the next phase, once I've done this bit, it'll all look quite a lot softer. Okay, better get on with it. In terms of creating a texture, I've tried to make it as random as possible because I do actually want it to look quite natural. So I do tend to use objects to help me achieve that, more natural objects like twigs, etc., rather than something that's got too much of a uniform finish on it. Hello folks, well we've come to the end of the process, the end of filming for the Yuna, the Lioness piece. I must say I've really enjoyed the challenge in many ways. I've never filmed myself sculpting a piece before or captured any part of it, so it's been really interesting to watch it myself. I mean, I've never seen it, so it's really interesting. If you've watched it all the way, or well, brilliant, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that, and I hope you like what you see. From here, I will have to do more work on the piece in terms of on the production master. That's not in the clay, that's in a polyurethane master state. As you can see here, I've still got material to take out of it, but I'm a bit reluctant or reticent to do that until we're very close to pouring a silicone rubber on it, because I don't want the piece to harden out too quickly, which will lead to shrinkage. Now, you can work on a clay, of course, when it's in that state and it's solid, and indeed I think some sculptors like to work like that, but because of the nature of edge being quite skeletal in many respects, I prefer to keep the moisture in the piece, which is why you see me spraying the piece madly throughout the whole process, if indeed you have been watching. So from here, the piece is going to be a charity piece. Now, what do I mean by that? It means that once we become making the piece, they will be sold in all of the shops and the galleries that we're very fortunate to have with edge sculpture being promoted through them. So basically the usual channels, albeit a certain percentage of each sale will be going directly to the Big Cat Sanctuary, and so it should. And that's basically towards the upkeep of all of the cats there, not just the 5 big cats rescued from Ukraine, of which Yuna is one of those very important creatures. But yeah, certainly the flagship of the campaign. I will say a little bit more about it, maybe a little bit more concisely and correctly at another point, or maybe we'll write it down. But yeah, for now, folks, I hope you like what you see. I've tried my level best to capture the best way I can with the technique that I try and bring out with edge, and I do look forward to the next stage and see what happens when we bring it to life with colour and paint. So yeah, for now, folks, bye, I guess. Well, folks, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and ultimately I hope that you've enjoyed watching the process of bringing an edge sculpture to life from start to finish. The completed hand-painted sculpture will soon become available through all edge sculpture stockists. Please support Cam and his team, and please don't forget that a proportion of the proceeds from each and every sale of this sculpture will ultimately go to the Big Cat Sanctuary, and will certainly make a difference in helping the plight of all big cats in crisis. All the best for now, Matt.